Hey guys, I know I talk a lot about how to make change in your life and that you have to create the change within yourself. Everybody has heard, be the change you want to be. And that sounds really good, but how do you do that? So today I'm going to talk about the things that you can do to create good, healthy, positive change in your life and in your relationships. But first, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll get into it now. So today I want to talk about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read the book, go get it. It's really valuable. It has a lot of good information. But I want to break it down real simply for you and put it in terms of creating change. And so the very first habit that you have to create is to be proactive. You decide who you want to be, the kind of person you want to be. And one of the suggestions is that you create a list of all of the characteristics that you admire in someone. The things like honesty, trustworthy, timeliness. Is somebody calm and patient? Are they good communicators? Are they good at taking care of their business? Are they financially stable? Those may be things that you value in other people, and you say, I want to be like that. So you make a list and you really put that into the context of who you want to be. I talked about that a little bit when I talked about finding the perfect partner for yourself. What are the characteristics that you want in your perfect partner? And then you list those characteristics, and then you become those things. You take on those characteristics for yourself, and then you will necessarily attract people who are like-minded. And so when you are proactive, you decide far in advance how you're going to react, how you're going to behave in any given circumstance, as far as you can predict. I mean, obviously, there are circumstances that come up that we don't know how we're going to respond. But if you have in mind who you want to be and you practice that, you are more likely to respond in tough situations according to those characteristics that you have adopted. So that was number 1, being proactive. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Very simply, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And I've talked about that when I talk about marriage relationships. What do you want your marriage to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? How do you want to live your life? Where are you going with this? What is your purpose? When you understand what your goal is, you're a lot more likely to get there. The analogy that's often given is, can you imagine going on a road trip and you have no destination and you have no map? You have no idea where you're going to end up. It might be fabulous, but it might be freaking terrible. So if you know where you want to go, then you can map out your course so that you can be more assured of getting there, and certainly getting there in a timely fashion, in a way that you are going to be able to build the life that you want. So beginning with the end in mind makes you say, okay, I am going here. I'm going to be this. This is what I want to accomplish. Whatever it is, if I want to have a better relationship with someone, if I want to build a better business, a stronger partnership with someone. So beginning with the end in mind is number 2. Number 3 is you put first things first. So I know where I want to go, but I can't just automatically think myself over there and it's just poof happens. I have to put in the work, and I have to know the steps that I need to take, and I lay those steps out. I know what I need to do. what do I need to do first, and then second, and then you build on that. We call that scaffolding, and we say that we're going to start here. I know where I'm going, and I build on that to create the necessary steps that will help me achieve my goal. Now, another analogy or a metaphor that has been used a lot to describe this, beginning with the putting first things first, is using the idea of the rocks in the container. If you have a pile of rocks and sand, you want to put it all in one container. If you put all the little grains of sand in your container first, and then you put in the little rocks, you're never going to get in the big boulders, the most important things. So if you start with the most important things, then you're going to accomplish it. Generally speaking, we think of the most important things in our life are going to be family, they're going to be work, they may be your faith. I talk about Tom Landry for any of you cowboy fans or former cowboy fans. Tom Landry was once upon a time the only coach that the Cowboys ever had. But he talked a lot about putting the first things first. He said it was God first, family second, football third. When you put the most important things in and you focus on those, you'll have time to get to the other things in your life, the things that are not quite as important. The small rocks might be things like, household chores, car maintenance, writing a thank you note to your grandma. Okay, those are things that you need to do, but if you put the big things in first, you can those smaller rocks, those smaller things will be able to fit in around them. And then after that, you take the sand, the granular things, the small things like partying with your friends, spending time on Facebook or YouTube or computer, checking your email, playing your video games, those small things. There will be time for that too. And so because they just kind of filter down around the big rocks, the big important things, and around the smaller things that are still important, but you still have time to do those small things. And one illustration that I saw for this, I kind of liked, because at the end of the video, the guy opened up a beer and he poured it into the container. And he said, with all of that, you still have time to share a beer with a friend. So that was putting first things first. Number 4 is think win-win. I want to win. I want to be right. But if I am right, if I win at the expense of someone else, then they have lost. And that is, I guess, okay in football, but it's not okay in your relationships. You need to think in your relationship, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's your family relationships, whether it's just the person that you meet on the street. If you are both winning, then you walk away feeling really good about that interaction. So how do you make that happen? It can be really difficult to make that happen. But when you focus on how can we both walk away from this feeling like we have accomplished something, that we have gotten something that we want. It's not really a compromise, because a compromise is that you both lose a little and you both get a little. Sometimes that's as good as you're going to get. But when we walk around feeling like every interaction that we have, especially with a member of our family or our partner, our life partner, if we walk around feeling that every interaction creates a loss, we stop wanting to have those interactions at all. We always need to feel like we need to win, and we both need to win. I often say, if I win and you lose, then the relationship has lost. You cannot have one person winning over the other and have a successful relationship. So always think win-win. Number 5 is perhaps one of my favorite, maybe because I'm a therapist, but number 5 is seek first to understand and then be understood. When we go into a conversation or a conflict trying to make the other person understand us, what do you think they're doing? They're trying to make us understand them. So nobody's listening. But if I go in to a conversation, a potential conflict, and I am seeking to understand the other person's position, what it is that they're saying, what it is that they want, what it is that they're feeling, then I am much more likely to find that win-win. And when I do that and they feel like they have been heard, they have been validated. See my video on listening for understanding. The most important thing you can do for someone else is to listen to them. It's seeking to understand them. And when we do that, their defenses go away. They relax and say, oh, you understand me. You get me. And then they start opening up to understanding you. And you can come to a consensus, to an agreement when you seek first to understand. And then you will be understood. But you have to trust that process. Number 6 is synergize. You want to have 2 people working together. Systems theory says that the whole, W-H-O-L-E, is greater than the sum of its parts. I often, when I was teaching, I would take a box of Legos and I would throw them on the table, or I'd give everybody a handful of Legos, and I would say, what is in front of you? And they would describe, oh, I have some red pieces and some blue pieces. They're little, they would give me a description of these Lego pieces. Okay, they're Lego pieces. And then I would say, create something with these pieces. They'd all build something. And then I would ask each one to tell me what they created. Not one person said, I have a pile of pieces. They said things like, I have a robot, I have a train, I have a house. They created something that was more than a pile of pieces. And so synergizing means that we are putting together something more than we would have individually, or even if each one of us was working individually. Your synergy, you're creating this energy that is shared. So I think of synergy as shared energy so that you can build something really dynamic, really important, really powerful. So synergize was number 6. Number 7, the 7th habit, is to sharpen the saw. And I say this all the time, practice. You are not going to create a new habit overnight. I've heard people say, well, you can create a new habit in 14 days or 21 days or 30 days. For a while, I would say 40 days because that's kind of biblical. I went on a 40-day fast during the Lenten season and it created new habits in me. But what really makes it a habit, a real habit, is when you do it automatically without thinking. It's not something that you have to apply yourself to. It's something that happens as second nature. And for that to happen, it takes a year or more of consistent practice, daily practice, sometimes hourly practice. You have to be mindful. That's how you sharpen the saw. That's how you get better at this. When you create these habits in you, you will be more powerful than you've ever imagined. And you will also be more satisfied with your own life, with your relationships, and with the world in general. So I hope this helps, and I hope you will again hit like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye.